Cheryl Polote Williamson, presented by AARP. I have a story, and my story is important to me. My story is a story that will change the lives of so many people. Just like me, you have a story. And today, our guests in the studio are just going to come in and give you a glimpse of their story. What is your story like? Is it one that you don't want to talk about? Is it one that you've gone through that's changed the life of your family? Is it a story that you have been holding in for so long and you're waiting for the opportunity to share it? Our hope today is that by these amazing guests coming and sharing their stories, that it will push you to know that you can share yours. Because that's the one thing that people can't take away from us. It's our story, our meaning, our purpose. Why? Because our stories matter. Your story matters. My story matters. So ladies, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am excited that you all are here with me. We're just going to have a conversation.
Great.
The goal is that we want this to be a safe place for people to feel like they can come and get information, and that we're going to be real. That these are conversations that girlfriends can have with each other in a safe place. So I want to say that I am so excited to have my sisters here. My first sister I want to introduce is Crystal King, who is the 2018 Salute Her Award winner for the Corporate Trailblazer. Because this sister is blazing a trail. She is the creative vice president at the American Heart Association. And then we have Ricky Fairley, who is the 2014 Salute Her Game Changer Award honoree. And Ricky, I have to share this with you. Sheila said that you have been there from the beginning.
I have been here from the beginning. I watched Sheila birth this amazing platform. And back in the day, I mean, it's evolved to this amazing thing now. You know, it was like, I think when my award, we had a little venue in Atlanta and maybe 100 people, and now it's like the world. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And Ricky is a marketing genius. A marketing genius, founder of Dove Marketing. Founder. And that is legacy in and of itself. Well, ladies, we're going to jump right in and have some candid conversations. I know that stories are important. And I felt that it would be so befitting for us, with breast cancer awareness coming up, for us to have a conversation that I hope will bless some women and change their lives. Women who have not been diagnosed, women who are newly diagnosed, and women who may have had breast cancer for the first, second, or third time. So Ricky, I want to start with you. If you could share your journey, because I know it's going to help some people. Mm-hmm. If you could just share your journey with us and share with us tidbits on how women can get to the other side.
Sure. So I had stage 3A triple negative breast cancer, which we know affects Black women at twice the rate.
Yes.
Black women under 40 at 3 to 4 times the rate. And it's the only breast cancer subtype that doesn't have a drug to prevent recurrence. It's very aggressive, and it usually comes back with a vengeance. I did a double mastectomy by choice. I did 6 rounds of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation. A year to the day of my first diagnosis, they found 5 spots on my chest wall. And I went back on chemo, did more chemo, had another surgery. And when they went in to do the surgery, and at that point, my doctor said, get your affairs in order. You have 2 years to live. I went back and did more surgery. The cancer was gone. It'll be 9 years in 3 days. So God had another plan for me. And I know that he left me here to do this work in advocacy. And that's what I do. I fight like a girl every day. But I did a lot of crazy things when I was sick. When I was on chemo, I divorced my husband of 30 years. I quit my business partners I was in business with for 10 years. And I sold my big house in the suburbs and I moved to the beach.
Wow.
And everyone kept saying, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you don't have chemo brain?" But I knew in my spirit that I had to heal my body. And I had always been the breadwinner, the rainmaker, the person taking care of everybody. And I had to stop the music. And I realized that I had to get all of the cancers out of my life, not just the one in my body.
Yes, yes.
And that's what I focused on. And I did some crazy things.
Ricky, the information that you have shared with us, even in just this opening conversation that we're having, it has helped so many people because the facts and statistics are so needed. It's a wake-up call, just what you just said, because if you don't know, you don't know. But once that awareness is brought to us, it is game changer.
Yeah.
And speaking of game changers, Miss Crystal King is truly a game changer. And I want to just ask you if you could share your story, some of your journey. I have walked with you. It has been my joy to be there for you, to just love on you unapologetically. And I think we as women, Ricky and Crystal, that's what we have to do. We
Yeah.
have to love on one another
We do.
unapologetically. Crystal, I want you to share your story with the millions of people who will listen to this interview.
So my story is it's really funny because there's an intersection.
Yes. I didn't even get there. We have one.
Yeah. There's an intersection between my story and Ricky's story. So I'll go back to the beginning a little bit and just say that breast cancer was an amazing wake-up call for me, but the call didn't originally come to me. The call originally came to my mother, who was diagnosed just 3 short years before I was. My mom was age 50 when she was diagnosed, and I was blindsided at age 25 when I was diagnosed. And here I sit at age 42 now, having had several additional scares and battles throughout the years, as you just mentioned, Cheryl. And so the wake-up call, the loud siren for me came time and time again. And it's funny because I got a call from another friend whose world had been rocked. And when she called me, I'll never forget where I was standing. And that call was from Ricky. And I love her so much. And I'm so honored to have an opportunity.
I love you so much.
With her today. I love her. And I learned so much from her, even though her diagnosis came after mine. I learned so much from her bravery, from her courage. Everything that you just heard from her is so real and so true. And that's my story. And then, Cheryl, you and I buried another close friend today. Granted, not from cancer, but the idea here is we're losing so often, and we're women that are built and designed to win.
Yes.
So we need to do different.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like by us having these conversations, it's the opportunity for us to change things. It's the opportunity for us to bring awareness. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, ladies, how has sharing your stories, how do you think has changed the lives of other people? And do you think sharing our stories can change the life of other people?
Go ahead, Ricky.
Go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
Yes. Stories have the power to heal. Yeah. I don't think we have anything more powerful than stories, because stories deliver hope. Yeah. Stories deliver peace. Stories deliver the sense that I am not alone, that other women have walked in my shoes. For me, I think about, early on, my husband had a friend. Mind you, we were engaged when I was diagnosed, and I was, planning a wedding during this diagnosis. And I remember one guy who's no longer his friend saying, "You're not married yet. She's having a mastectomy? Do you really want to? It was just young, right? We were all in our 20s, and I remember being so devastated. But then reading the story of another young lady who had been through something similar, and it gave me the ability to tap into what was still beautiful about me. And I began to tell women, listen, you know what? I can be above ground with, the implants and,
Right.
and the bald head, or I can, lay in a casket, trying to be cute. And, someone's story gave me that power. So when we talk about, what it means to tell our stories, it's life changing. It is life changing.
It is. It is. I would totally agree with that. And I just want to step back for a minute on what my precious Crystal articulated. The infrastructure for breast cancer does not work for Black women. I mean, because the statistics say that Black women under the age of 35 get breast cancer at twice the rate as white women and die at 3 times the rate. So the stories you're hearing from her are the numbers, and so we've got to do something differently. And then if you move ahead to talking about the stories are so important. And I get calls every day. Not a day goes by where I don't hear from a new breastie, a new diagnosis, my daughter, my mother, me, whatever. And the doctor said XYZ. But what do you think, Ricky?
Right.
They get the information, they get the science, but then what do? They call a breastie. They call somebody who's been through it to validate what the doctor said, or just to make them feel good about it, to give them a hug. Yeah, that's what you should do, or this is what I did and this is what happened to me. And so just having that conversation with someone who's been through it is a different experience.
Yes.
And even for me, I had triple negative, and I remember going to my first support group, and no one had triple negative. And so everything they said was irrelevant to me. I needed to talk to somebody who had walked in my shoes and done what I did and done the therapy that I did to really understand it and embrace it and feel good about it. So, it's a club that you don't want to be in, but once you're in it, it is unconditional love. And we have a sisterhood and a love for each other that is impenetrable and so important. And we really rely on each other to talk about what's next. I mean, also the other funky statistic is that the recurrence rate for Black women is 39%. And that pressure, that fear is always out there looming.
Yes.
Am I going to get it again? And so we have to stay connected and so close to our sisters because of that fear in itself, and just sort of going through the trauma. And interesting, I know that God laid out a plan for me before I got breast cancer, and Crystal was in that plan. And actually, we met working on a breast cancer project. We went to the Bahamas. Remember, Crystal, we did the first race for the cure in the Bahamas. I had never heard of triple negative until that trip. I had never, there's so many things I learned 8 months before I got breast cancer. How crazy is that? But I know that God put Crystal in my life and that experience to help prepare me for what I was about to go through. And so I think if we all look back and think about our experiences, there were people or other women in our path before and after that helped us get through this. Crystal had her mom, that had been through it. So I think we all, that sisterhood is so critical to be able to deal. It's so needed and so special that and I'll add one more thing. So at the beginning of COVID, I was getting so many calls from breasties saying, "Oh my God, should I go to chemo? Should I go to the hospital? Am I going to take a risk? Am I going to get the virus?" And I started thinking about it. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about it. So I did like a Facebook Live event with one of my doc friends, Monique Gary, and we had like 800 views on my Facebook page about just talking about breast cancer and COVID. So we started a show, and we now air every Wednesday night, and called The Doctor Is In, and we now just talk about everything breast cancer, and we have like 30,000 viewers in just like 3 months.
And that's right there. Go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, I'm sorry. And that's the power of Ricky, right?
Not really. No, it's the power of breast cancer sisters.
Yeah, no, it is. But it's the power of her strength, and I often tell people that when you've been through this battle, it does something to you that makes you different. There are special women all over the world. And this is not to say that some are more special than others, but to me, what I have seen, the power and the strength that comes out of a woman who has been through this battle, there is something very unique, something very strong, and something very special. And Ricky is living proof of that. And I just honor her today. And I'm grateful, and I just love her, and I'm doing everything I can not to just break into tears as I hear her tell her story.
I love you so much. I love you so much. But you know what? We do become badasses. Okay,
Yeah.
we really do.
You
And-
have to.
And I think you lose your filter. When someone's told you you're going to die, you like, okay, whatever. Like nothing is rains on our parade, right?
I'm gonna let it rip. My yes is my yes, and my no is my no, and I'm living unapologetically. And either I'm getting rid of all the attachments and only working on the assignments. And that's why when we talk about these stories, just us sharing just this time together right now, it's been so powerful. I feel a stirring even in our conversations. Ricky, as you talked about the 30,000 people that are now tuning in. See, that's what it is. We allow ourselves, when we don't share our stories, we allow ourselves to be held hostage in our mind.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Stories, it gives other people a permission that they don't even realize that they don't need. They don't need our permission to share their stories. But because we're having these conversations, it has opened up the door for women to say, I felt like that, but I didn't know there was anybody else out there. And Ricky, I love when you said you started this journey. You didn't even know you would be on this journey, but you were already aligned with Crystal. So it goes to show that everything we need will be provided for us.
Yes.
But it happened because Crystal shared her story. Had she shared her story, you would not have known when you got diagnosed 8 months later that you already had a sister in arms to go through battle with you.
Right.
And that's incredible. And ladies, I am just moved because I realize when we have these stories, I'm just wondering, what do you want your legacy to be? And the reason that I'm asking that is because, Ricky, I heard you say several times, this has got to stop. This has got to change. I have already established a foundation. So I just want you both to share, what do you want your legacy to be? When people say, Ricky,